few seconds, and here we are. See, my starts are always funny because I'm always waiting, and then here we are.
Uh-huh.
So today, I am very happy to have Pat with Book Chat from Pat with me. And thank you so much to viewers who I know will be joining us. Always awesome. Thank you to Team Rewatch. That was my husband's iPad. He needs to turn that sucker
Oh.
down. I don't know if it came through or not.
It did. I did. I wondered what that was. Yeah.
That's his giddy up iPad because he reads ebooks. So
Uh-huh.
he has his little tablet. He doesn't have a Kindle. He does his on a tablet.
Uh-huh.
But then he's got the volume up on it for some reason. So
Yeah.
Pat, I am so happy to be able to meet you. I've seen you through the videos, but this is lovely.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here.
Hey, Kevin. And hello, Leslie. Welcome. And thank you for joining. And we were just, I think, before the live started talking about tags. And hey, Constance.
Hi, Constance. Hi, Kevin.
Yeah. And the tags are actually neat. And I just actually did a week of tags.
Oh, cool.
Oh, the pigtails. I was explaining to Pat, hey, Gavin, thanks for joining. The pigtails I was doing a video this morning about my first books, as in books I will never unhaul. And so the pigtails just seemed good for that.
Oh, sweet. Yes.
Yeah, well, and this will always now be in my background, and it came up in the music tag. This is The Kitten's Voyage.
Yeah. Oh.
It's a tiny elf book.
Sweet.
And this is now my lucky charm for YouTube, because when I started and books were going to be where I was going. So Pat, like you with English classes, books, reading, it was that passion. I couldn't find this book for a couple of years.
Oh.
And I thought I unhauled it thinking, well, I've had it for eons, so maybe I've passed it on. But my husband found it a few months ago, and I'm taking this as an omen that the YouTube channel was meant to be. And so cats, the lovely pictures, and this sucker would now cost me $40.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Can you believe that?
I do believe it. Yes.
I mean,
wow.
So I'm so glad. But yeah, so where will we go, Pat? Do you think we'll get to the 10 questions?
Whatever you say, I'm with you. You lead, I'll follow.
I mean, I've had then about, I think 3 times now, and we just got to the questions the third time.
Funny.
But there's so many lovely books and things to chat about and get to know. So let's start, although some people may have already heard, but how did you become an English teacher? Where did that love of reading start for you?
I think I knew I wanted to be a teacher since I was a little kid. I can remember as young as maybe 8 or 9 thinking I was going to be a teacher, but I certainly didn't know it was going to be an English teacher.
Neat.
I think it was when I read To Kill a Mockingbird for the first time. And I read it way before we read it in school. But my, hey, MJ.
Hey, MJ.
My oldest brother was reading it for school, and he had to also watch the movie at home. This was before there were videos in the classroom.
Yeah, exactly.
And we watched it as a family, and I fell in love with this story. And I found the book on my parents' shelf, and I remember I couldn't wait to get home every day after school to read the book, to read about Scout and Jem and Boo Radley and Dill and the whole crew. And I I mean, that was, and I was young to be reading it. It was,
Mm,
way, but I fell in love with that book. And that, I think, was the first serious, like adult book that I read. And I
yeah,
remember thinking, and I was maybe 10 or 11. I remember thinking, this is what I want to do. I want to read books like this for the rest of my life. And then I just had wonderful, wonderful English teachers. And I,
awesome.
I had two in high school who I'm still friends with today. And
Great.
they were a very powerful influence. And I think that's when I knew, by high school, I knew I'm going to major in English. And then it was just one step, the next step came along. And, I decided in college I would do student teaching as well. And but it really, I mean, it was a process, but it's something I think I always knew in the back of my mind since I was very young.
That's amazing and awesome that you had the support of those teachers and still in touch with them. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
those are the special teachers. And for myself, as an educational assistant,
Hmm.
there were some teachers that I admired, loved being in their classes,
Sure.
and there are some not so much.
Yeah. I know
Like,
what you mean. I know.
you would totally get that. And
Absolutely.
because there's the ones you can tell who are passionate
Yeah.
about what they're teaching and their subject, and they connect with the students and they do the above and beyond.
Yep.
And those are the teachers that I am so grateful for. I loved working with them.
Right.
I loved watching students flourish because of them. They got the empowering students, not disable or make them codependent.
Right.
Those are the teachers that we need. And I can tell from your videos you were one of those teachers. I mean, not just because you mention your students and those connections, but it just comes through
Well, I'm
who
glad
you
that it
are as
does.
a person.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I still feel that, I'm in touch with many, many of my students still, and I mean, some of them are, there are students that are close to my own age. I was 21 when I started to teach. So I have
Wow.
students from back at my first job that I'm still, very much in touch with. And,
What's
it's,
that?
it's just wonderful to, yeah, hey, it's wonderful to just to have those connections.
Yeah, and I now see, since I've left Facebook, because I had been in touch with quite a few, and most of them
Mhm.
it was through Facebook.
Yeah.
And I left Facebook because just too much overload. I'm one of those, if I see it, I can't unsee it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there was just too much stuff through the news feed and whatnot, but I really do miss
Yeah.
those connections because, yeah, it's amazing to see how they're doing and,
Absolutely.
all of that. Job versus a passion, evident in
Yes.
teachers, and they so do.
Absolutely,
Um,
Kevin. Absolutely. Yep. Yep.
I know when I worked in the resource room and I had a deal through administrators and teachers that my resource room was the safe haven because I worked in a vocational school. And
Mhm.
I'm going to not get into a tantrum like I did when Ven and I got to talking
Oh,
about
no.
education,
Oh, no.
because things in Ontario are not good. And
Oh,
it makes me very sad that a number of people tell me they're so grateful I'm not in schools anymore. And I'm like, that sucks because I miss a lot of things about it.
yeah.
But I worked in a vocational school. And so our kids had a lot of different issues,
Mhm.
shall we say, and things that got in the way of their learning. So if
Sure.
you could get past that, they were bright, they were intelligent, and I can still remember I actually won an award. And so I'm up there and having to shake the hands of the hoity-toities. And they're like, "Oh, we're so grateful that, you're at this school and blah, blah, blah." And because I'm a bit of a shit, I'm like, "What are you thanking me for? I work in the best school in the entire valley. I have
Wow.
the most gifted, amazing students. So don't thank me for doing something I love." Yeah, I'm amazed I got an award with other people because that was me. It's like, what are you making the big deal about? You don't even understand the kids I work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they closed the school.
Oh no. Oh.
Yeah, in Ontario, I don't think we have any more vocational schools. They
Oh.
just throw them all in with the other 1,000 to 2,000 kids because, it's not like they're going to get lost.
Oh.
So, but I'm not going to get too much into that. We're going to move in on the comments.
Oh.
BookTube's favorite English teacher, I agree. The
Thank you,
part of the
MJ.
charm. Your channel takes us back to English class. And yeah, absolutely. Like and a share. Thanks,
Aw.
MJ.
Thanks,
But
MJ.
I do happy
Happy
thoughts in the
thoughts.
chat. Keep throwing those up if you see me going
Mm.
off track again, because I did pull myself in line with Ven. I'm like, okay, we're not talking about the board anymore because it
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
makes now. And here's the other is our systems are so different, and not
Mm.
just because here we have to learn about the US and everything, our
Mhm.
history and all of that. But I've noticed with your series, you also cover very different books than we do up here. I've never heard of The Kite Runner until
Oh,
I watched. Yeah,
wow.
it's and we don't do well, it's been a while since they've done Shakespeare in school. I had to do Shakespeare in high school, but I've been in not just the vocational schools, but other high schools,
Mhm.
and Shakespeare really doesn't get chatted about much.
Oh, dear. Oh, no.
Now,
We
do you
we we
do
do Shakespeare in well, where I taught, we in ninth and 11th grade, and then 12th grade, depending on the course that you're taking. But Shakespeare is a
right.
big part of it. But I was very fortunate to work both of the schools that I worked in were very progressive schools, and one was a private school, and the one that I was in for 30 plus years was a public school. Um, we we had just great liberty at to revise our curriculum every few years. So we were
Nice.
continually looking at it, seeing what we wanted to, what's not working, what should we, jettison, what should we bring in, and we had a
Yeah.
great curriculum director. We were brought in, we were paid to come in for summer hours to talk about the curriculum, rethink the curriculum every couple of years. And I was the head of the English department. So we had just great latitude in terms of what we wanted to teach. I mean, some of the novels I've been talking about are books that I taught in a course on contemporary fiction. Um,
Mhm.
but, like ninth grade is like an introduction to all of the genres. And we did pretty standard stuff in there. But as we got, you know, 11th and 12th grade, I think we had much more just leeway in terms of what, it didn't matter so much what we were teaching, so long as
Mm,
we could get across the skills and the objectives that we needed to meet, and they respected our judgment, so
nice.
if we wanted to do a theme, a woman wanted to do a course on social justice, the literature of social justice. She was empowered to create a course, on that theme. So we had that kind of just freedom. And so maybe that's why you're hearing me talk about a lot of books that, because other people tell me that in the comments too. I never read that in school, but
Yeah.
I mean, we did a lot of very standard classic material and a lot of contemporary stuff too. And that was the beauty of it, that we got to keep revisiting and revising so that it stayed fresh and new for us and for the kids, you know?
Yeah, exactly. There's a couple of things I do want to follow up there. Hello, Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
Just escaped from work. Now, you mentioned you got paid to come in during the summer.
Yeah.
Do teachers in the US not get paid over the summer?
Correct. We are 10-month employees. We do not get paid from the middle of June until the beginning of September. So I always had to have another job. I had to work because I had no income during the summer. But we would also get a designated number of hours to come in and work on revising the curriculum. So we might get 20 hours to work on a project, or 25 hours if it was but and then I would get another 20 hours to do departmental business, book ordering, inventory, things like that, supplies. But no, I was not paid for July and August at all. So I always had to have some other job that I was doing.
Yeah, we need people like you to come talk to the teachers in Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
They get paid year round. They're full-time employees.
Really?
There's no layoff. And up here, I think, and it's been a while, I think they start somewhere at 40 a year. There are numerous ones who now make 100 a year, and those aren't our administrators. And although I think I said it wrong when I was talking with Ven, it's not the Sunshine Foundation, but it's Sunshine something. There's a website where you can go to and see who's making over 100 grand in whatever companies. I don't know if it's just here in Ontario, like Canada or Ontario, but if you check, back in, I think 2014 or 15, there were like a few hundred of them that were over that 100 mark in the board that I'm in, and it's the biggest one in the province. I think now they're well over maybe 2,000 employees making that, because, contracts every 3 years. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, and it's not just the stuff I've read in the papers or seen happening in schools in the States, which is like scary boo in some places. But I'm like, their salaries are different. I know years ago, and it was a movie I loved, Freedom Riders. And I can't think of the teacher's name.
I don't remember either, but I know I saw it.
You know which one, right?
Yes.
And I was like, and with her as well, she had to have another job, and she was doing all the stuff with her students. Her husband was a douche, but I was thinking, wow, our teachers really don't get it.
Wow.
Do you know, like, they have no idea being laid off. EAs do, because we're laid off the same part-time employees or 10-month. So same with the pension. It's for a part-time employee, not full-time. So that makes a difference. But it's that, and I mean, again, in different towns and all the rest of it, but it is such a different educational system, not just in terms of, teachers and pay, but curriculum. Like here, curriculum is determined by the province. So there's a certain thing you have to cover and certain books that you can include, and you have department heads, as you would have been. And I remember, because I saw your video when you were talking about the different schools you were in, and it was a fascinating watch to hear about the different things you were able to do. And I'm like, wow, wouldn't that be nice? I mean, provided you have a decent department head. But like you say, being able to keep it fresh and interesting, not just for yourselves, but for the students as
kids,
well.
Right.
I mean,
that was the beauty of that contemporary fiction course that I taught with a friend of mine for, I would say, the last 15 years that I was teaching. We made a concerted effort to bring in books that we thought would be kid friendly, and that's how we got, we brought The Green Mile by Stephen King into that course because, it has big themes to talk about, but
Yep.
kids, they love it. They can't put it down. Kids who never read books read that book, and
Nice.
so that was sort of our, we knew what skills we had to teach in terms of analysis and writing.
Yeah.
We had a lot of leeway in terms of what we wanted to use as the vehicle through which to, to get at those things. And we really made an effort in the last, I don't know, 15 years to be kid friendly in as many courses as we could. And it's not that we didn't teach classic works. We certainly did, but we also wanted high level of engagement, so.
And that was huge.
Yeah.
And I know with some of the students I worked with, and I tend to stick towards the vocational school because I loved that building, even though I ended up there by a total fluke and other things. I love the public school I was at prior to. And the irony is I ended up shifting next door to the high school. Now, the funny thing is, the public school I was in and the neighborhood I worked in, it was a lot of people coming new to Canada. So one of our English as a second language teachers had done a survey. We had over 50 different cultures in that building from JK to grade 8. And she included, the teachers and students. So we had 50 different cultures there, which was amazing. And I had a hoot working with the younger kids, and we did literacy and all of that. Then I ended up going next door because my job I was downsized, surplused, whatever. I ended up going next door. Now, here's the sad thing, because like I say, it was the vocational high school. Some of my former students are like, why are you going over there? There's a lot of people who use drugs there, right? And I'm like, talk about reputations. But of course, who gets noticed? Same as in the news, right? The troublemakers, the loudmouths, not the good, quiet ones. And I'm like, they're teenagers. They're not all bad.
Right.
Just like there's some of you little snots in this building, but you're not all little snots. Like, don't make assumptions until you've met somebody and talked to them.
Right.
But it was an amazing school. And I would do pretty much whatever it would take to get someone to engage. And there was one student, because initially I was there with the ASD program, so students with autism and Asperger's, and I would go to classes with them. And I would irritate some teachers beyond belief, because I'd walk in the room and they'd be like, oh, who are you assigned to? And my answer was, the class.
Good, right.
No, who are you assigned to? I just told you I am assigned to this class.
Right.
And I wouldn't sway. They could go ask the teachers in the program who specifically. They should have known from looking at the IEP and the doc. But I'm like, no, I work with the whole class. I don't work with one student. I am a bridge between the student I'm assigned to and the rest of the class, because if they get to know me and I get to know them, then I can introduce them to the student I'm working with, and then we work on social skills. I'm not here to teach them. That's your job. I'm here. I wouldn't say that to teachers. I wouldn't say. I did have some filters.
Yes, right. One or two.
But as I explained to my students, I'm the adult version of them. And if I can work full time, so can you.
Right, right.
But yeah, it would drive some of those people insane that I wouldn't, oh, yeah, it's this student. No, that, I mean, it's a whole classroom. It doesn't matter what, and I used to call it a Campbell soup label. I don't care what Campbell soup label you put on somebody. They're a student and there are different ways to reach them. So with the one kid, and he wasn't one I was assigned to, we had a deal about chocolate granola bars because he loved those things.
Uh-huh.
And I ended up being moved to another class. So I was no longer with him in English. And he's like, what am I going to do? I'm like, you're going to be fine because you have the skills. We've worked together for a few years. So what if I'm not in the, don't mouth, do your work and you're going to be great.
Right.
And he's like, oh, I don't know. But I knew he loved these granola bars. So I'm like, here's if you can show me your report card with, and I can't remember the mark, but I knew it was something he could achieve if he buckled down, trusted himself, and did the work. And sure enough, report card day, he showed up and he got his box of granola bars. Perfect. And I'm like, see, I told you you didn't need me in the class. But it was, doing things like that, whether it's the work or what they're interested in. Gummy bears go a long way with high school kids. Because I would have gummies in my room and it's like, okay, you finish your assignment before you go back to class, you can have some gummy bears. Mm-hmm. Then I had kids who weren't even in my resource room showing up going, hey, I hear you have gummy bears. And I'm like, yes, but you have to have completed work to get the gummies. So they would go to their lockers.
What do you want to see?
That's right. Find me an assignment they'd done that day. Like, does this count? And I'm like, okay, you got me.
You got a gummy bear. Oh, that's cute. That's wonderful.
But I mean, that's the thing, right? And they do know when you're passionate and you're passionate about them.
Yes, they know right away whether you're sincere, whether you really care about them, whether you like them.
Yeah.
They know. And then all kinds of things can happen, then you can work miracles, so.
Exactly. And, that's the thing. And those are the people I want to see in the buildings. Like, those are the people who I loved being in a class with, because it didn't matter if it was English or a shop class or geography or history, whatever. Right. That's when you would see the kids just shine. Mm-hmm. Whatever other issues would be in the way of the learning, whether that was the home environment, because some of them, I think the most disgusted I ever was, I'd been assigned to an elementary school with a young boy in, I think he was in grade 3 or 4. So we're talking like 9, 10 years old.
Right.
And, there were issues and blowouts and all kinds of stuff. And I was talking, and, he and I got to know each other. And he started sharing what his breakfast was like, which was basically his brother not being very pleasant. Children's Aid Society was involved. I had talked to the teacher and said, this is kind of how his day's starting. And the teacher's, well, that's not my problem. Once he comes through the door, he's supposed to be prepared for learning. Wow. I'm like, do you get how stupid that sounds? Like, could you, after spending your morning like that, just magically walk through your doors and
ready to learn?
Here we are, like, forget what just happened. I was like,
wow.
It was just frustrating. But so I'm always so grateful that there's amazing teachers out there and still continuing to spread that joy with the reading. And I really appreciated your video too, in regard to the banned book and the definition of banned. because it really has been a bit of a bugaboo I've noticed in just a few of my comments. But to be honest, my videos haven't done that well, other than DeSantis, but it was Florida, so I put his picture up there, and that one went hoo-ha.
Yeah.
But
well, both Greg and I have been, in a couple of videos now going over how PEN America defines banned books, and we read their statement. I've done it several times. Greg just did it again the other day. We've both gone over it several times. I know MJ has gone over it. Sometimes we actually just read the statement from PEN America. This is what a challenged book is. This is what a banned book is. If the book is removed from children, from them having access to it, it becomes a banned book. If they can't get it in their classroom or their library or their public library, yes, they can buy it. It is still considered a banned book. But I get that too. I get people, not all the time, but they do come out and they want to say, you can buy that book anywhere. That's not book banning. It is book banning. If you can't get it in your library, and you used to be able to get it, it's not available anymore. Yes, you can buy it, but how many kids? I don't know. In some of these places, I would say these kids probably are not able to go buy the book. But that's people who are just playing with semantics, I think. They don't want to admit that, there's this massive movement to wipe out certain kinds of literature and certain kinds of authors.
And it's a huge issue for sure. Just going to catch up on a few comments, and then we'll bribe by gummy bears. Hey, whatever works. We have Costco. They were inexpensive. If I got a kid to get a credit, I was good with gummy bears. Jenny, I hope you're okay. My goodness.
Jenny. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, hope she's all right. Definitely need more teachers like you. Can tell when we're paycheck versus teachers. Absolutely. Yeah. Kids like children in homes, or students like children in home, they're not stupid. They know when there's problems. They know when someone's sincerely there for them.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
It was funny, and it still makes me laugh, because I'd hear all the different names of teachers, and of course, oh no, that's wrong. No, they're trying to, and so you had to, play that team thing. Right. And I would ask them, so what are some of my names? And they're like, you don't have any. I'm like, what? And they're like, well, we know you're a hard ass, but you like us, and no one would dare give you a nickname, because then there'd be like 20 other kids all on their ass. And I'm like, cool. I didn't even end up in a video on YouTube, or on social media, but some of my coworkers did.
Oh, wow.
They would, and that's the other reason I'm glad I'm not in classes anymore with all these cell phones and stuff, because a few of my coworkers ended up on, I think they got taken down after Adminer that found out. But I was lucky, because one day I had jumped into the middle of a fight, because I have no sense of self-preservation, whether I was a caseworker or an EA. It's like, oh, a client's in trouble. Let's hop in the middle. Now, I did have the good sense to see who was in the fight, and I knew one I could trust to not hit me. The other one was dicey, but,
right.
I focused on the one who I was hoping I could get away, and everything worked out, thankfully. And, I was talking to a few kids the next day, and they're like, yeah, everyone put their phones down as soon as because they were all getting ready to, because, what's better on social media than a brawl? And they're like, yeah, we all put our phones down because, well, we wanted to make sure you were okay. And so we were watching you. And I'm like, yes, didn't even get recorded. My awesome moment, and no one recorded it.
Oh, I'll bet somebody did. Somebody got it. It's out there somewhere.
It might be.
It might be.
Had to sprint, but I caught up. Isn't going to be safe to open for a while.
Oh
No,
dear. Oh,
probably
Jenny,
not.
no,
Too
no.
old. Jenny, you just turned 40. Come on. We got
Jenny,
decades on you.
you're just a kid, Jenny.
Excuse me, but
Oh,
yeah, so I don't know now, but you worked in private school and then public as well,
mostly
right?
public. I worked in a private school right out of college for 7 years, but then I switched over to a public school system and I stayed there for the next 32 years.
Now,
So
is it because you preferred it, better opportunities, the students? What made you switch?
well, the private school that I taught in was also truly a wonderful, wonderful place. And I'm still in touch with those teachers and students. In fact, I just went out to dinner last week with a group of teachers and students from that was like the early 1980s. That's how long ago I worked with them.
Nice.
But uh, I couldn't make a living there at that time. I mean, they
Mm.
didn't have they didn't even have a pay scale. You went in and basically negotiated for yourself at the end of the year. And I mean,
Oh, wow.
I was making truly below poverty level wages there. And it's much better now, but in the early 80s, it was not. And I had to, just for
Mm.
preservation, I had to go where there was a little bit more money. And um, but it was, it was a difficult transition. Even though I went to an excellent public school system, it was still very
Yeah.
different from the private school. But I grew to love the community. And you stay someplace for 32 years, you get to know the community,
Yeah.
you know the families, and it was a great school system. I mean, it was a very I wouldn't I've been concerned about things I've seen happening recently, but I don't
Mm.
want to get into that here,
Yeah.
but going through time, it was a great place to work. So
Now, were you in the same school the whole time, Pat?
I was in the same high school. Yep. I taught different grades. I taught
Yeah.
every grade. But it was the same school. Yeah. And I
Wow.
didn't go in as department leader. I went in, as I was in my 20s when I started there.
Yeah.
I think when I started, I taught grades 10 and 11, and then I taught grades 9 and 10, and then I taught 9, 10, and 11, and then I taught 10 and 12, and then I taught just 12 and a writing course. But yeah, the same building for
So,
32 years.
yeah, and see that again is mind blowing because here everything, well, I'm not sure if I can say everything, but most of it's based on student numbers.
Uh-huh.
And so based on that determines how many teachers stay or go.
Right.
And then union seniority. Now, are teachers unionized in the
Yes.
States?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Duh. I think I've heard something about that. But so, of course, the unionized and those numbers impact. So it's rare to find anyone in the same building more than, say, 10, 15 years. I mean, there's exceptions.
Well, we only had in
Many.
this community, we only had one high school, and
Mm.
it was a combined middle school, high school in one building. So I could have been assigned to teach anywhere in that building, but outside of that building, they were elementary schools, and I'm not certified to teach elementary. I'm a high school. I'm a
High school.
secondary person. I think I was grades 7 through 12 certified. So
Yeah, and I think here, because I know they've got different levels and you can do elementary. There's the split between elementary, high school, and I'm
uh-huh.
not sure if there's one specific for high school. I know there's that one overlap.
Hmm.
And yeah, oh, let's see. Well, we've got everyone kind of laughing at Jenny saying she's so Leslie, welcome to the 40s club. My knees snap, crackle, and pop. Mine have been doing that since I was 12, Leslie. Same. So they were joking, grab some marshmallows. These could be
Oh,
snacks.
that's funny. Oh,
So weird that our public schools are actually private
yeah.
and state schools are
That's
public.
right. That's right. The British system is a little bit, well, Scotland. I guess the whole
Yeah.
UK is that way. Yeah. Yeah, it's different. But our public schools are the state, the community schools, right?
See, and we have our public schools, then we have our Catholic board. So
Okay.
they're two separate.
Right.
And that's kind of the distinction between ours. And now there's a few other cultures that have their own schools. But as far as the two biggies, we've got public and the Roman Catholic board
Okay.
is the way ours are separated. Jenny, it's more than my knees that snap, crackle, pop.
Poor Jenny. Oh.
Sorry, add in
Yeah.
ankles and
Ankles and
hips.
hips.
One big,
Absolutely.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I can relate to that. I do sound like a bowl of Rice Krispies some days,
Mm, mm, mm.
but you get used to it. It's incredible that you were in
Yeah.
the same. Yeah, I agree. Is for that length of time, and how wonderful, really, because that's how you could connect with the student. I mean, part
Yeah.
of how you could connect. I think your passion would have had you connecting no matter where you were. But the fact that you were in the same building over that period of time.
Sure. I mean, families get to know you,
Yeah.
and it was a small town. It was a very small little community. Um,
Nice.
yeah, no, I feel very fortunate in the two places that I worked. It was a great career. I have no regrets. I am noticing now that there's tremendous turnover in the school where I was teaching, and in a
Ah,
lot of schools, and that saddens me because the students are hurt by that. And if a
yep.
teacher's not, if they're there one year and they're gone the next year, or they're there for 2 years and then there's a whole new crew coming in, you don't build relationships, and it does affect the stability of the whole school, I think so.
It does. And I mean, you're right, and kids get to know or make connections. Hey, Renee,
Hi,
thanks for joining.
Renee.
Kids do get to make those connections. And
Absolutely.
I know myself, well, in my 23 years, I couldn't even tell you how many schools I was at because I kept getting surplus because I was low gal on the pole.
Mm,
And so, of course, when it came to who stays, who goes, it was simply based on seniority, not
right.
who had whatever skill set the
Right.
building needed. I've heard they're talking about making changes with that, but sadly, they're having a hard time just keeping EAs, period.
Mm,
Like a friend of mine works at a high school. She's a department head, and they've got developmental classes, ASD classes, regular classes. I think they've got something like 1,500 to 2,000 students in the building, which is just nuts.
wow.
But they have a huge EA complement because of these special classes and all of that. Most of the EAs are casuals. They can't get permanents to take the
Oh, wow.
and that in itself is just nuts. I mean, I started as a casual, bounced around for 3 years before I could apply for a position and become permanent. But even with casuals, you have people come and go. A
Yeah.
friend of mine who just retired, she had been in elementary. She's like, it's insane. You'd try and get a casual in, they'd come in the building, hear about the assignment, and walk out. I'm not
Oh,
doing that. I'm
wow.
like, what?
Wow.
How is that even
Yeah, how is that even a thing?
possible?
Yeah.
But I think, and I don't know what it's like in the schools in the States, but up here it's this whole, they don't want you to fail. You have to work at failing a course. And I'm like, no, that's not how real life works.
Yeah.
We all fail at something at some point, no matter what. Wouldn't it be better to learn those lessons when you're young and surrounded by, hopefully people who support you instead of, yeah, we just keep shoving you along and shoving you
Mhm,
along. And
mhm.
then you get to the world of work and an employer goes, oh, nerds to that. That's
Yeah.
not how the real
Right,
world is going
right.
to work. And,
Yeah,
it really does worry me about, you know,
yeah.
where things are going, and hopefully there's enough people who hang in there.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
I guess because like you, I think rapport is huge. I mean,
Absolutely.
if you haven't made that connection, it doesn't matter how awesome you are at the front of the room. If you haven't connected with the bodies in the chairs, they've already tuned you out.
Exactly. Yep.
It's, and I mean, I think it's amazing that you can still share and bring that passion to YouTube. And I know there are kids who maybe not watching YouTube, but they're listening to YouTube in those classrooms because,
Yeah, yeah,
but I think it is important. And I think, like you say as well, with books and different things disappearing, what I found mind-boggling, because I'm so old school. I mean, it's book in hand, handwritten notes. I have some type notes, but handwritten. And this year I thought, well, I should start stocking up on some paper because I'm getting more into like trying to figure out my Da Vinci spiral and having to write notes. And I do notes now as I read to do my videos. You would not believe how hard it was to find a pack of paper.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I thought.
Wow.
Usually when school starts, there's like containers of the stuff for like
Right,
pennies a pack.
everywhere. Yeah, yeah. Can't find it.
I went
Wow.
to 3 stores.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I'm like, this
Paper.
isn't it. Paper, paper. I'm
Wow.
like, this is crazy. But see, in the schools, they have the Chromebooks now that some of the schools in grade 9, they get a Chromebook.
Yeah,
Um, and now when I was there, they hadn't started that yet. We had kids who had special equipment because they'd been tested and they either needed programs like Kurzweil or Dragon, which have now become pretty much obsolete because Google, they can all dictate their
yeah,
answers now or have the text read to them. But a lot of the kids that I worked with had their own equipment, either pretty much laptops.
yeah,
Um, but now so many of the kids have the Chromebooks or they bring their own laptops or they do things on the phone, which it still blows my mind. And Kat, if you're still here, this will make you chuckle, but I don't know how Kat does her videos on her phone. That just boggles my mind because to me, the screens, it's just too small.
too small. Yeah, yeah.
So, you
Well,
know,
we're a different generation, Elaine. I mean, I have the same problem. It's too small, but yeah.
hey, Diane.
Hi, Diane. Oh,
And see that I think that's part of it. Although then there's some others who I'd either seen on Facebook or other things that can run circles. And I always laugh because I'm like, okay, for at least 10 or more years, tech was a big part of what I did in the building, but
mhm.
it was Kurzweil Dragon. It wasn't editing and making movies. And
Right, right.
if anyone had told me I'd be like on a screen and you could see me, I would have laughed because I'm
Uh-huh,
like, I wouldn't even get in pictures.
uh-huh.
I
Oh,
mean, I'm just not a picture person. And I'll share in one of my videos because it's too funny because I always avoided pictures. And when I got married, of course, you have a photographer and people snapping pictures. And thankfully ours could only stay for a little bit. And so then his time was done, and I'm like, okay, you're good. We've pretended to cut the cake. Bye bye. See ya. And off he went. And then there were, of course, still people doing pictures. So here I am in my fancy gown, sticking out my tongue because I've had it. I'm like, no more pictures, just enough already. Go
That
dance,
was funny.
drink, do
Yeah,
something, but
go
put the
have a good
camera.
time. It's a party. Aw, aw.
So yeah, it's to do this is just hold it and hit record till my last. You make what, yeah, and there are a number of people who I know just do it on the phone. Greg makes me laugh because he was saying he never used to edit,
Mhm.
but he found his videos, what he was saying were better because he knew he wouldn't be editing. So
Oh,
he
okay.
was,
He was
you
more
know,
careful, yeah.
yeah. And I'm thinking, no, I would have never uploaded those because, well, filter. And when I edit, yeah, no, can't say that. No, don't do that. So live streams are tricky and I have to watch what I say. But when I'm doing my videos, it's like, yeah, no, that's not what I wanted to talk about and snip. Do you find you do very much editing with yours, Pat, or are you pretty?
I'm really so lacking in skills for editing that, um, I mean, I need somebody to help me, because so I don't really edit, or I edit very, very little, because it's so difficult for me. I mean, I really don't know how to do the things that all these wonderful people do. And, I want to hire somebody to help me. So, um,
See what I found out. Do you use Microsoft?
I don't. I have,
Do
I
you have
have a Mac.
iMovie?
Yeah. Yeah.
iMovie, Pat, is easy.
I know. I mean, I play with it, but it's not intuitive to me, so I need to just kind of play a lot, um and I will. I mean, I'll figure it out, or someone will come and help me figure it out, but yeah,
Because
no.
your thumbnails are amazing.
The thumbnails I'm getting better at. That I've been working on. So that's one thing. That's something I've
Yeah.
learned to do. I didn't know how to do that in the beginning. So I have been working on those. Yeah.
Yeah. See, my thumbnails are still plain because I'm just one, I think for me, because I don't really click on a video because of a thumbnail, I click based on the creator
Right.
and the title. So
Yeah, I do
if
too.
it's someone I know and a book I want to hear about or a book haul, what have you, then I'm there. The thumbnail's cute, but that's not
Right.
what's what's getting my attention. But iMovie for me is the only reason I'm still on YouTube. If I had to keep figuring out video editor, I would have lost my mind
Yeah.
because you've got to like the seconds here and there. But
I know. I know.
at least with iMovie, and I mean, it's been playing, and mine aren't as fancy as some, but I've learned how to do side by side and add a book and this and that.
Yeah.
But what I really like, and I'll watch my videos twice before they go up. And the first time I listen for, is this the message I want to get through? Like if I'm doing a book review, book hauls and that, not so much because it's just like, look at me, I have a book shopping problem. One, two, three, and off we go.
Right. Right.
But when I'm doing my other ones, I really want to be careful of what I'm saying, how I'm saying it. I mean, you're going to eventually tick someone off. It doesn't matter what you say. Some because that's just what they're looking for. Although touch wood, I've been lucky. I haven't even on my DeSantis one, I didn't get anything too hard hitting.
Hmm.
But what I do like with iMovie is you can spread out the video and then where you see the gaps, you can really quick cut those out and then listen through again or add the
Yeah.
pictures.
Yeah.
And it was funny because initially when I started, my husband was going to do the editing. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. You kibitz with the computer. How about you do this?
Uh-huh.
But he didn't really like it. And I'm like, no, now I got to
Yeah.
figure it out. And so he bought me a refurbed iMac so I could use iMovie. And I'm like, okay, I think I can manage this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I see we have a few. Okay, so she was saying about the whole trying to load up on blackmail. Hi, time travel.
Oh,
I'm
hi,
out with
Melissa.
Molly.
Oh,
Lovely to see people popping it. Me either. iMovie. It's challenging still. And I agree. So I shouldn't say it's easy because that ticks me off. And I used to remind my students it's easy if you know how. Because when people say math is easy, I'm ready to lose my mind. I can do a bank account, like a balance a checkbook type
yeah.
thing, but you get
Yeah.
into algebra and all that other schmancy jazz, and it's not happening.
Right. Right.
But it's been a lot of hours, a lot of playing, and to be honest, I've figured stuff out clicking by accident.
Sure. Yeah.
But also as I figured it out, I do notes. So
Mhm. Right.
I just figured out how to find my pictures from my phone when I plug it in. So okay, you got to go here and
Right.
find
I do
this.
that too. I write notes to myself and I tape them to my little desk so that,
Yeah.
whenever I've learned to do something, because it's not second nature to me. It's not intuitive, but I'm a quick study, but somebody's got to show me the way and then I'll make
Yeah.
my notes and
And
anyway.
that's why I watch YouTube videos on it too, is
Yeah.
I'm the
Yeah.
same is I would love to have someone come over and show me because that's how I learned. That's how I learned Kurzweil and other
Right.
things when I
Right.
was working.
Right.
But to try and figure it out myself, I find it frustrating. But it's either do that or not. So
Right.
Renee would like to know where you are making your thumbnails.
So I'm doing my thumbnails in Canva.
Nice.
Yeah, and I think probably MJ told me about that. I think that's how I learned about that. And for I guess like maybe a month, I had their free version, and they let you try all kinds of things. And then
Yep.
after a month, you have to pay for it if you want to still be able to do the slightly more advanced things or more colorful things. So I did pay for it. But I'm learning that, like, that's what I'm working on now. I'm focused on learning how to do the things that are available there, because it's not obvious to me. It's like I have to really click on things and try things, and
Yep.
that's where I've been making those. So
We'll have to do a chat sometime. I'll help you with iMovie if you
okay.
help me with Canva
Okay.
because
All right. That's a deal.
I
I'll do that.
do my thumbnails with Canva, like my live stream and some of my other ones. But to be
Uh-huh.
honest, I haven't played much in Canva because it doesn't overwhelm me. It's just there's so much
Yeah.
because you upload your pictures and then you can do this and do that, and it's like, uh, no. I'll go back to how, I know
Yeah.
PowerPoint, so I'm going to
Going back
PowerPoint
there. Yeah.
and I can upload PowerPoint into StreamYard. So I can, on that respect, I can totally relate. I still have the free Canva because I don't play in it enough.
Yeah.
And my life revolves around how much is this in a thrift store shop?
Right.
Is
Right.
this 2 books at my latest thrift store shop,
Yeah.
or can
Yeah.
I swing it? I
Yeah.
really am thinking I need a 12-step program for book shopping.
Talking about thrift shopping and buying books, I think it was from Renee. I think it was after I was watching Renee's video on the used bookstore tag. And I haven't been able to do that tag because I don't have any used bookstores or any thrift shops anywhere near me. I mean, I would have to
Oh,
travel, an hour to get to
yeah.
one. And it's like, well, that defeats the purpose. But anyway, she was talking about thrift books, which I do use. And
Mm,
and she said she was talking about, I think, how you can sell your books back to thrift books. So normally when I want to get rid of books, I donate them to my library and they sell them, and as part of
yeah,
their, and I'm fine with doing that. But after watching Renee's video, I thought, well, let me just see, So I went on to Thrift and went to my account and I just put in a couple of ISBN numbers of books that I thought I can part with. Well,
right.
they'll give you 29 cents for this book. They'll give you 52 cents, and they won't
Oh,
they won't buy books back until you get to $7. Well, I must have put 15 books in and I still wasn't at $7. And I was like,
yeah,
oh, now this is not right. And then I put a couple in that are very popular books, and they're like, we have too many of these already. So they offered me zero. And I was
oh,
so then I thought, well, this is not the way to do this. I mean, I would be sending them probably 100 books to get $10,
ooh,
so I'm going to just keep going to my little free libraries and
yeah,
donating my books and giving them to the library because they can sell them. And isn't that crazy?
yeah.
Oh my God. So,
Well, and the shipping.
well, they pay that thrift books will pay the shipping. If
Oh,
they agree to buy your books, they will then give you a label and they tell you where to take it. So, but I didn't do it because it just it was so many books to get $7. I was like, I'd rather give this to my library and they can actually make
exactly.
some money on it,
And
But
I just had to turn the light on because you would not believe how crazy it is out there. And
is it
only
still
four,
snowing like crazy?
it's
Oh,
only 4 o'clock here, but
wow.
yeah, it's dark out there.
Wow. Wow. Well, it's
Is
still light here.
yeah. Oh, Kat, have you got a tally to see who shopped the most? Now, this is the thing between Ven and I,
Okay.
the two little, well, I'm the book murderer, let's face it. I'm not losing that title anytime soon. But we're also the book shoppers. I have a feeling Ven's got me beat because he buys audiobooks and ebooks on Kindle, which I don't have. So mine are just physical purchases.
Okay.
But here's the bad thing. I discovered, and see, I should never have signed up for emails. My thrift store has a 50% sale, 50% off sale tomorrow. Now, I don't drive anymore. And if my husband was at work, this would be a non issue. Now, he's homesick, so
Right.
we're not driving because the weather here is horrendous. But before he got home and I found out he's home tomorrow, I found out I can shop my thrift store online and get the
Oh,
50% off
oh my
and pick
goodness.
them up on
Uh-oh. Danger,
Saturday.
danger, danger.
Exactly, right? It's like, oh, should I? I've bought I mean, I did 3 massive hauls, one in September, 2 in October. I'm like, I need to read all these,
Yeah,
but how do you pass up 50%
no,
off? And
you can't.
I
You
mean,
can't.
the last time I bought 2 Stephen Kings, Skeleton Crew and Night Shift for $1 each. And it was a 30% off discount day. Come
Wow.
on.
Wow. Wow.
So, yeah, I think I'm going to have to try and behave. Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, see, now
Oh, you see,
there's
Mark, if you
something
weren't
we
in Wales, I would hire you in a minute.
that there is the kind of person I need to meet and be able to have them
Yes,
do that.
exactly.
PowerPoint for
Okay.
thumbnails. There you go. Now, see, I use PowerPoint to do some of my cat videos when
Uh-huh.
I'm doing the talk and going through the pictures. Never done it for a thumbnail.
No. Hmm.
No more space for another program. Yeah, that's it, is they all work so different. And to be honest, because I had used Microsoft for so long, and that's what our school board used, and I had switched from WordPerfect,
Uh-huh.
then started getting used to Word, and then when I switched to the iMac. Um, I'm like, I don't know how this works. How do I find my files? What are
Yeah.
all these colors, and why do I want to file them by color? And
Oh,
why do
yeah.
I have to go up to this bar when there's another bar down? And I'm like, oi. And it's true. You get okay. So I use Renee uses Publisher. Doesn't always fit the screen, and that's the other I notice. And yeah, in Canva, I tried doing the banner
Uh-huh.
because I switched my
Yeah.
banner on my channel page. But what frustrated me is I did it in Canva. It was set up the way I wanted. Then when I went to YouTube to upload it, half of what I had on my banner wouldn't show up because it
Oh,
just shows you that little
huh.
bar thing, right? And I'm like, well, then why did Canva tell me I had all this other
Yeah.
room
Yeah.
when
Wow. I don't
it
know.
doesn't fit? So, and I
Maybe that's
think
only if you get the pro version.
maybe it
I don't,
is.
I'm just saying that. I have no idea because I haven't tried to do a banner
I'm
yet.
not sure either, but it could be. But
Could
I
be.
need to, I think, ask Greg because I think he's one who puts in his community posts. He has the thumbnail for the speaker coming up. If I
Yes.
remember correctly, I know in
Yes.
somebody's posts I've seen the thumbnail for the speaker coming.
Hmm.
I've tried that. I
Uh-huh.
cannot get the picture to fit.
Oh,
Not a single time.
really? Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I
he might know. I mean, he would definitely know how to do that. Or
and see he's also a computer guy, so
right.
he would definitely because I've tried it and that's why in my posts I just say so and so's coming cuz I can't get the picture.
Right.
It gives me a little tiny and I can either get the name or the time but not the
Yeah.
whole.
Yeah.
So that there's something I'm missing to
Although I'm thinking now, Greg and Alan, they don't put the picture. They do put the person's name, but I don't think I saw the picture. I don't think they
it might
do.
have been another
It
channel
must
that
be somebody else. Yeah.
yeah. So
Hmm.
Dan, I do know PowerPoint. Great idea. There we go. So someone now, oh yes, and we did mention of the
Yes.
price for
Yeah.
those books,
I
which
mean, there was one book that they were going to give me $2 for, but all of the rest of them were 59 cents, 62 cents, zero. I mean, it was very, very, very surprising. And I just kind of gave up. I thought this is not
mm,
even worth it, but
yeah,
mm.
well, yeah, that's insane how little they pay. And
Yeah, because
yeah,
some of them I even bought from them, and
oh,
I know I paid, $7 or $6, so how come a month ago it was worth, but
yeah. Well, I know here, I mean, I basically just stick to my thrift store now because I mean it's good deals.
right.
I love going in because I now have gotten to know some of the employees. So I'm not just shopping, that's my social time, shop time.
Sure.
And they, make recommendations and we talk about different books. And it was so fun doing that tag. And it was so cute because I knew exactly who I wanted to do it because I knew she would pick me amazing reads. We've been chatting for months.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, oh, I don't know. I'm like, you'll do fine. Just go have fun. And here's 20, it'll be $25, which up here it's $5 for the books. Um, and she made amazing finds because I wouldn't normally have gone to those sections, but she knows what I typically buy. So it was great. She was
That is
thrilled.
great.
I was thrilled. You could see she had like a huge sigh of relief. I'm like, oh. And the one I'd picked up 4 times and put back on the shelf months prior, it was one of the books she picked for me. I'm like, yes. So that was cute.
I loved your story, Elaine. I guess it was in the summer when you went off in search of all of the original Star Trek books that you
Yeah.
used to own when you were a kid, and then you rebought them all. I think you got
And
them all. Did you get the
I
whole?
did.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
this is why I believe in synchronicity and all of that stuff. Because Vin had the book trek thing.
Right.
And I had a Starship Enterprise that's gone to another collector who's enjoying it.
Aw,
And my books had gone years ago because I just hadn't been reading them.
right.
And then Book Trek came up and I had one magazine. I'm
Oh,
like, what? I love Star Trek. I can't just read one magazine. It's 3 months. Like, you
right.
know,
I know. It was a long event.
yeah. So then I went, and that's when I discovered the science fiction section because they have
Cool.
like 3 stacks. I'm eventually going to put together all the different books that my thrift store has, and it's wild. There's a whole 4 massive section of romance. I'm like, I'm never looking there, but that's huge. But the science fiction I was looking at, and then I'm like, wow, here's the books I want. And they only had like the 9 out of 10. And then someone had recommended thrift store to me. And I thought, well, if I'm meant to have it, it's going to show up there. And I had this niggle. So I'm like, okay, we got to go to the thrift store. And sure enough, there was the last book I needed. So I had all 10.
Wow.
Now, here's where it gets funny. Ever since I've gotten all of them,
Uh-huh.
yep, not a single one. Not a
Wow.
single one
Wow. They were
from
there
that
for
set.
you. It was just for you. That's
The
cool.
universe was looking out for me because I've
That's a great
intentionally
story.
looked to kind of test, okay, was the universe screwing with me? Nope. They showed up. I showed up on the day. I had the last one that I needed to make my set of 10.
That's great.
I've never seen them
Never
there
again.
again.
That's
There's
awesome.
all kinds of other, Star Trek books and all kinds of other series.
Right.
Nope, none of the Alan Dean Fosters that I needed.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
it was awesome. Ship
Mm,
it. Yeah, well, I'm worried about with this brave new world what that's going to look like up here in Canada, but we're not
yeah,
going down that road.
yeah, yeah.
Ziffits online to send if that's available.
I don't know if we have that. I don't think
Yeah,
I've
I
ever heard of
haven't.
that.
Now, here we also, although I don't know if in your area, Pat, we have used bookstores that you can take your books and they will buy them for a credit and
Yeah.
then you buy
We
from
do.
there.
We do. We just don't have them near. I mean, I used to have one in town. There was an independent bookstore and a used bookstore. They both
Mm.
have closed. They're both gone. And we had
Oh,
two large Barnes and Noble stores within miles of my town, and they both closed. So, and it's
really?
like I live in a community that is, we're like a bedroom community for New York City. It's not like I live in in the
Yeah,
boondocks, and everything they've, I have to really get in the car and drive even and I'm sure there are used bookstores in some towns near here, but I
yeah.
don't know about them.
But
I
I'm
have
surprised. Excuse me. I'm surprised with the Barnes and Noble.
two of them. There was one like 2 miles from my town and one maybe 3 miles, on opposite directions, and they both closed.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, up here we have Indigo. It used to be Chapters, which is
Oh,
like your Barnes and Noble. I
yeah.
don't know if you have Indigo
I don't think so.
in the States, but similar to the big bookstores. But what I've noticed is very few books.
Oh,
When I went, I think January might have been my last trip to an Indigo, and then I've exclusive the thrift store. And I mean, I used to be able to have shares in Indigo, and I would have made a ton of money for the shopping I did there, which now I could kick myself. I should have been going to the thrift store. But what I've noticed over the last few years, and even before COVID hit, I'd say half the store is shishi poo poo stuff, and there are some books.
Oh, wow. Oh.
It's very few in-hand books and a lot of, you know, journals and
Yeah.
reading slippers and this and
Right.
that and
Socks,
cookware.
yeah.
And I'm like,
Mugs, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Related paraphernalia, but not books. Yeah.
exactly. And so the last time I went in, there was a particular book I was looking for, which I can't think right now what it even was. And so I went to the counter because you could put in special orders.
Uh-huh.
And so, you know, the cashier is looking over and I said, "Oh, I wanted to order this book. It's not on your shelf." And she's like, "Oh, well, you can do that online and have it delivered here." And I looked at my husband and I looked at her and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, bye-bye." And
Hi.
as we're walking out of the store, I said to my husband, "Well, guess what? I can order it on Amazon and it'll be delivered to my door, no driving
Yeah.
required."
Oh,
Like, did,
I know.
so I'm like, forget it. Thrift store all the way. I mean,
Yeah.
did that not sound stupid to her coming out of
I
her
know.
mouth?
Really,
Why
what a
would I have
ridiculous
it?
thing to say. Yeah. Oh.
It, uh, the
Mm.
world used to be able to do media mail. It's only through the post office, which is never
Oh.
open. Well, hey, our posties are on strike now. I think week number 2.
Oh.
I almost feel bad for some of them because they're out with their little signs in this crap. Because to get your strike pay, you got to be on the line.
Oh. Oh.
But our
You're
government,
not getting any mail delivered? None.
but I can't even remember the last time I bought a stamp or mailed something. Because I mean, so many people now email or message and
Yeah.
all of that, right?
Yeah.
For some of our communities up north are people who get their benefit checks and all of that through the mail, and it's Christmas, so people with parcels and all of that. And I don't know how it's going to play out because they've started laying some of the people off. They
Oh.
haven't ordered them back to work. But if I were some of these people, I'd be wondering if you're getting laid off, this probably is not a good strategy to stay
Yeah.
on strike.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I'm surprised with because I know Kat and I have talked, and she was saying with her post office hours, ours actually, I can go to my pharmacy and we have a little kiosk there that you can pick up your mail and things.
Oh. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we don't have a set
A big post
post
office.
office building. They're in different stores and things.
Hmm. Oh,
See,
interesting.
this is why I love connecting with people because you learn so much about how different the world is, right? Not
It's so
just our
true.
weather.
Yep.
Glad you shared. No, there's something for new. Do you purchase them regularly?
Yeah.
Thanks to, yeah, I mean, that is unfortunate that,
Well, it's just it would I mean, if you had 100 books that you wanted to sell back to them, I guess it would be worth it, but I can't tell you, I was very frustrated. I
yeah,
must have gone through
understandably.
15 and I still wasn't at $7. I was like, this is going to take me all night here,
And
and
that's it. That's a lot of time to go even just checking individually. Like, that's wild.
right.
Oh, okay. Use PowerPoint for the banner. Just squish what I need into the little. All right. Thank you,
Okay.
Leslie. I might
That's
have to
good to
play
know.
PowerPoint. Cat's keeping me online. Happy thoughts.
Yeah, no politics. Please.
I know I have been thinking and worrying about so many of you over the other side of how this will all play out. I knew the ripple effect would come.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I saw the headline 25% tariff on all our goods. And I'm like, wow.
Yep. Yep.
But, it's not January yet, and we could have a Christmas miracle. I'm not building karma. I'm not
Nope,
saying
nope,
anything
nope, nope, nothing
specific.
else. Don't say any,
I'm
don't
just
go there.
hoping for a miracle.
Oh, look at Renee. I need some reading slippers. Yes, Renee, you do. Oh, perfect.
Indigo has them.
Oh, I'm sure Barnes and Noble has them too.
Okay, Pango. Yeah, that's what Bad
That is
started
red.
as. Oh, not too long ago. Liking it, recommend it. There we go.
Okay, good. Thank
Yep,
you.
that is rad.
Great.
Cool. Hey Diane, how you doing? Remember mentioning it? It was her first day. Now, it's been a while since I've talked to Bad. She's been kind of keeping a low profile too. Well, I think like so many of us these last few months, and not just, the election. I think it's the weather. It's so many things. I've
Yeah,
noticed a lot of people really struggling, myself included. The snow, I'm feeling better, but this is
yeah,
getting a bit much even for me now.
yeah. I know. I was excited this morning when I saw snow, but it didn't amount to anything. So
Can you take that?
we aren't saying a word, folks. Get right.
Oops,
That's
sorry.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, not saying anything specific. I'm just,
Nope. Nope.
a miracle, but it's been yeah, it's been interesting. And I mean, everyone's got different opinions, and we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I would like to hope for the best. I would
Right.
like to think there's, something better coming. I remember as a kid, the big hoo-ha about Ronald Reagan, and there was a lot of weird stuff about him. And
Yeah.
we're still here, so
Survived. Yeah. Yeah.
let's hope that and I'm looking at it as we're not into January yet, so let's just make the most of every day, have awesome memories, lots of giggles, lots of chuckles. I had so much fun doing that game tag from Book Buds.
Oh God. Yeah.
It took a bit of planning, but
Yeah.
if anyone listening and interested, it was fun. It took me a while,
Uh-huh.
especially with charades, because I couldn't remember how to play charades. I'm like, I don't know what the difference. I know, you can tell them how many,
How many
but
syllables or how many words? Yeah.
but I couldn't remember
To
the
do
others.
movie, right? Making a
Oh, yeah.
movie, to do sound. I forget. I forget too. I don't know.
So I have to admit, for the first three where you have to play the game part, I'm like, I'm picking something that's easy. People
Right.
may not guess it, but I'm going to pick something I can draw. I'm going to do it ahead so I'm not, all scratchy and
Right. Fun.
purchased book one thus far, spending more than I should, adding to my wish list. Now, see, there's something, and I'm not sure if you have one or not, Pat. Amazon wish list.
I don't.
Actually, yeah, Renee's also done that. But do you have an Amazon, like an affiliate or
No, I don't.
my giggling's hysterical. I'm sure on two speeds. And yeah, I do want to check into that because, well, one for the wish list, just because it's cool and you can make one public, but your address isn't. So
Right.
I need to get that set up. The affiliate link, and it was actually a photography channel I watched. And he's such a sweetheart. And he was saying, he's just grateful for the viewers and the comments. He had done an affiliate link, but then he had his daughter buy something to test that it worked. And he's now kicked out because you're not supposed to do that.
Because his daughter
His
bought
daughter made a purchase.
Well, why can't his daughter make a purchase?
Family member, something like that. It was a glitch and now he's out. So there's things you really have to be. This
Wow.
is why some things make me nervous,
Yeah.
honestly, and
Yeah.
not just, being on YouTube and all the stuff that goes with that. But
Right. Right.
There are so, like, even with being monetized, not that I'm getting there anytime soon, but there was somebody else who I guess was held behind for months because it had gone in as a business, but they're not a business, it's just a hobby. And so getting all of
Oh,
that straightened
wow.
out, and I'm
Wow.
like, yeah, I'm just having fun making
Yeah, no, I
videos
haven't
and
even
keep
considered
it
any of those
going.
things, you know, so
Oh, but come on, you could have been monetized ages ago, Pat.
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. No.
Okay, so my hysterical giggling. Oh, chipmunk giggles like Gareth when although that's now fixed, he's got a microphone for their live streams,
Uh-huh.
but he always ended up doing the chipmunk thing for
Yeah,
some
yeah.
reason.
He had a lot of difficulties, strange sounds coming from him. Yeah.
Jenny, my four. Oh, there you go.
Aw.
Yeah, oh yeah, see now Dave, and I'm sorry Pat, we're not having cake today. But oh, Jenny was on, so we had cake because it was her 40th
Oh,
birthday
nice,
celebration.
nice. Aw,
And
sweet.
then we both hopped over to Is This Thing On? And Dave's like, what do you mean you had cake?
Cake.
And I'm like, it was her birthday, Dave.
That's right. That's
And
right.
he's
We
like,
had
no,
cake.
we have the treats. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
it
We
was
have
her
biscuits.
birthday.
Yeah. Oh.
And then last week we had cake because I was celebrating 2 years on YouTube with Ven. So I'm like,
Oh, nice. Oh.
I'm going to
All right,
catch
now
him
I
this
feel a
week.
little bad that we're not having cake.
Yeah, see, I'm almost tempted to be like, there
Oh,
you
next
go,
time.
Dave.
Next
It's the
time I
cake
come back,
show.
we'll have cake. Let them eat cake. Oh,
Exactly. It'll be like, dude, we got cake.
cake. We got cake. That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
no. Okay, so it's everyone's funny. And I actually, do you read very much Stephen King?
Um, Not very much. I have read several. There are some that I have really struggled with. I have a lot of Stephen King, but I probably have read less than 10 of his books.
Mm.
Um,
I just finished Finders Keepers because
okay.
I'd read Mr. Mercedes a
Uh-huh.
while ago, and I do like the character of Holly. And I'd read If It Bleeds a little while ago and just did the reread. And then I thought, and I found Finders Keepers on Libby. So I
Uh-huh.
put a hold on it, just came up. And thanks to Jenny, I found out I could speed up Libby because I found it
Right.
just, oh,
Too
too
slow. Yeah.
slow, too
Yeah.
slow. I couldn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thankfully, I could kick it up a notch. But I'll be honest, that book reminded me why I stopped reading Stephen King.
Oh, really?
And Kat, just as an aside, it isn't because there's dogs in it this time. It was just, I felt like I needed a shower after every
Oh.
time I
Oh.
heard it. It was just so dark
Oh.
and descriptive
Mm.
and ooh.
Oh, yuck. Oh.
Just ooh. And unfortunately, the narrator they had makes Holly sound like an idiot. And
Oh.
not because it was a male voice, it was just the way he did the stops and the pauses. And that isn't the Holly I had thought of.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to bother with the next book in the series. And I think, oh, was it Leslie? No, it was Jen. Literally.
Literary
Oh,
love.
thank
Literary love,
you.
1, 2, 3. Yeah, I
And
love.
I did that. I apologized to Jen. I'm like, I don't know where my brain was when I was talking in one of the videos. I kept saying literally love. And I'm like, why
Literary
can I
love.
not say
Oh,
literary? Like it
literary
just
love.
won't come out.
I love her. She's such a sweetheart.
She is. And she had read The Outsider. Like I know Greg in that group did the whole
Yeah.
Holly
Yep.
thing. And I didn't watch that stream because I didn't want any of it ruined. And Jen had said, it gave her the creeps, and she was walking out in the dark and then
Yes,
looking.
yes. I remember. I saw that video. Yep. Yeah.
But she was saying that there were things with animals, and that, to me, that's the big trigger. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't like reading about violent kind of stuff either,
Right.
but so I don't know if I'll ever read The Outsider, but Finders Keepers was just, again, I don't know. I think King needs some counseling or something. He's got
Something.
issues.
Mm, mm. Well,
Oh, good name.
I had tried to read the most recent Holly, um, the one that was just called Holly this summer, and I was
Right.
so disgusted that, and I know people love that book. Everybody swears by that book, but I had to stop. I couldn't finish it. I was so
Can
grossed
finish.
out. So yeah.
Leslie, if you're still here, take
Um,
care.
I just I,
See, now that is good to know, because I did get Holly from the library, but I didn't get to it. I was reading other things, so I returned it. And I'm going to go by your take on it, Pat, because I like your different commentaries and take on things. And yeah, Finders Keepers just really turned me
yeah.
off of reading him again.
Well,
And
I mean, you read a lot more horror than I do. And,
eh,
somebody gave it to me. Somebody said, I read this, it was great, and she had it out of the library, I think. So I borrowed it from her. And
yeah,
I was so sickened by
didn't,
it. I was like, I can't do this. This is,
yeah,
this is not a good use of my time. But like I told you, I taught the Green Mile,
yeah,
which is more a supernatural story. That's not horror, really.
yeah,
Real life horror, but I love that.
yeah,
I loved 11/22/63. But I like his. I don't know what you would call those. They're more the supernatural than the straight horror, I think.
yeah. And that's it. And I mean, originally, I started reading King with Carrie and
Me
went,
too. Me too.
yeah. And then Salem's Lot was my second vampire after Dracula.
Uh-huh.
And I read him right up to Dolores Claiborne.
Okay.
Now, I'll be honest, Misery scared the bejesus out of me because it was real. It
Yeah.
wasn't scary, Pennywise, are you kidding me? This
Right.
is out there.
Right.
Tommy Knockers, I would never read a second time because, again, there's a dog.
Mm.
But Pennywise didn't bother me. There were a bunch of others that didn't bother me, but Misery freaked me out
Yeah. Yeah. I
because
didn't read
humans.
that. I did see the movie when it was new. I remember seeing it in the movies and being freaked out, but
Yeah,
the book is even more so. So, yeah.
yeah, it was a tough read. He can be a hard one. Don't tell Gareth. Oh, great! Now I'll have both of them after me. Dave, because we have cake, and Gareth, because I've
Cake and
got
chipmunks.
chipmunk,
Oh, for crying out loud. Oh.
the submarine chipmunk voice. Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear it anymore, though. Now, Hunchback of Notre Dame went from pathos to giggle fest, no doubt. If it was on
Oh my God.
speed,
Oh.
I've never read Hunchback. We just watched it a few weeks ago,
Uh-huh.
actually, but I've never read it.
Uh-huh.
Have you?
I have. Yeah. Yeah.
Now, have you seen the movie?
I did a long, long time ago. I mean, when
Because
I was too young to see it, because it really upset me, I remember. But I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen it as an adult.
yeah, I couldn't remember the ending, and I was thinking, oh, and I'm having to say it wasn't too bad. So we'll see
Yeah.
what the read is like, because I found getting to some of the classics. I just read Carmilla for the first
Uh-huh.
time a couple
Oh,
years ago.
okay.
Have you read that?
I have not. No.
It's a night, if you don't mind vampires, and it's not Stephen King
No.
scary,
Right. Right.
but it's a nice short read and fascinating. And what I find truly fascinating is that it was written 20 or 30 or more years before Dracula.
Right, right.
And it's suggestive of two ladies. And I'm like,
That's what I've heard.
and
Yeah.
this got published.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a fascinating, I enjoyed it. And then I just read Jekyll and Hyde for the
Oh,
first time.
yeah.
So, I mean, I'd seen all these movies but finally reading them, which
Uh-huh.
now I still haven't read Nathaniel Hawthorne.
Okay.
Have to give him a try at some point. Sneak, there we go. Cat's covering the cake for us. Sneaking cat cake bites. Interview. Oh, yes. So Leslie, I think, oh, Margaret is who she's interviewing tonight on
Oh,
a live
cool.
stream.
Oh, neat.
Constance
Funny.
just laughing at us. Hope it goes well. Posh tea and scones.
Oh, yes, yes.
Oh, gotta head out. Take care. Thanks for joining.
Bye, Renee.
Enjoy the walk. Have a good evening. Dog safe, Stephen King. Yeah, there aren't very many, to be honest. The dude's got a thing. King was, and there's the other.
Yeah.
Because I've never read I Am Legend, and I won't read I Am Legend because it has a dog.
Oh.
Now, Gareth, and it may have even been Greg, I think it came up in a live stream, and they're like, but it's to give you the sense of how alone he is. I'm like, I understand. I'm still not reading it.
Yeah.
Find some other way to tell me he's alone and leave the dogs alone.
Leave the dog alone. Oh, my God.
Probably didn't write that one. I'm guessing if there's no dog in it. And that, yeah, that astronaut thumbnail. And again, a lot of your thumbnails are amazing.
Yeah, I had a couple of astronauts and I did a couple of Star Trek thumbnails, but I had help with those. I had somebody who really knows Photoshop who was able to put me into, put my picture into, which I could not have done.
But see, there's that wonderful thing about community and support again, right? And that's what I really appreciate is we bounce ideas off each other. We enjoy similar or same books. And there's just so many wonderful things.
Yeah, for sure.
Liked the third book. Oh, this must have been with the Find. And I can't remember what the name of the third one is, actually. Oh, maybe we'll go. Okay. Brings in a supernatural element. Pretty sure King is the only author who could get away with it. Outsider is pretty brutal. Okay, that pretty much decides I won't be reading that one. Quite liked all the Holly books, including Finder. Okay, the third one, Bill Hodges, brings in the supernatural element. Okay. And see, that was the thing in Finders Keepers. And I do like the cop Bill Hodges, and I like the character of Holly. What irritated me in Finders Keepers is it goes back to the character from Mr. Mercedes, but he didn't really fit in the second book. It was more like, hey, I'm writing a third book, so here's a free advertisement. I'll throw them in. And I'm like, yeah, pretty sure get away adding supernatural in the third part. Yep. Well, I don't know. Who is it? Stephanie Myers and the Twinkle Vampires. Just read Carmilla in October. Oh, nice. Yeah, I enjoyed it too. It was a nice short read. Gotta take care. Gonna have to be team replay. Always appreciate. Behind on watching and commenting. Me too. Now, actually, here's see those pigtails. I should have colored my hair a while ago. I'm having fun with hair again. It's been a pleasure. Take care, Gavin.
Gavin.
And we're caught up. But yeah, it's the thing with King in that is I don't know if he goes for shock value or it's just he's had so much success that at this point it doesn't matter what he writes, it'll sell because it's got his
'Cause
name
it's
on
him.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's
Well, it's even like because his books are being banned in Florida, publishing companies are actually suing the state of Florida but it's because of his name,
yeah.
it's like they didn't stand up for, all these other hundreds of or thousands of people who have been banned. But when his name started appearing on the lists, that got people mobilized. But
And there's the part that people don't stop to consider. And I did a video about that the publishers are up in arms, and we'll see how that all plays out with the changes. But you're absolutely right, Pat, because as I was doing some other stuff with the Banned Book Project, I'd come across another article, and that was from January of this year, 2024. And 1,600 books in Florida, just Florida.
yeah.
Now, I don't think that was Escambia County, which is insane, and that's the big hoo-ha with King, and I think they had 72 of his books. Now, why would the publishers finally come up is exactly what you're saying.
Right.
Those publishers sell to those schools. You think of how many schools in a county, that's hitting them in the pocketbook, which I think I did say in my video. But the bizarre thing is why they wouldn't have jumped in January, because in January, it wasn't just King. And the article, I think, had the list. It may be, who had the definition that you used?
Penamerica.org.
That may be where I found this article as well about these 1,600 books. And they had it listed.
Wow.
King is one of them, of course. Stephanie Meyer's, the Twilight series.
Yeah.
And so many other
Right.
authors, obviously, for 1,600. But you think of all of those books and all of those counties, that would have hit the publishers much sooner than this big brouhaha about King.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though they sell to schools at a discount, thank goodness. But do you know what I mean? Like when different things come up, whether it's book banning, climate, elections, whatever, people forget the ripple effects.
Right. Right.
Like in our area, for example, a lot of our farms are going. That causes me concern, and they're turning into subdivisions. But what happens if we have to rely on somewhere else for food? Because I'm not counting on it always coming over the border, quite frankly.
Right.
One, because, the U.S. has a huge population. And if there's different things with climate and produce, it's not going to come to Canada because you need to feed your own first. Right? And it's all those ripple effect things that people don't stop and think about.
Right. Right.
It's wild times, but again, it's not January, so we're gonna
so we're gonna stay in our bubble for a little bit longer.
Right? That's right. And you know what? It's a happy bubble. So do you have big plans for the holidays?
Not big plans, but I usually host Christmas, and I have it'll be a smaller group this year. Next year is the bigger group. I have part of my family comes every other year. So, it's
nice,
but it will be lovely. It will be lovely. How about you? What are your plans?
Same as always. It's a guaranteed PJ day because both of our parents are gone. Okay. It's our guaranteed PJ day and kitty day. And that's it.
Good. Well, that's perfect.
Yeah,
Sounds
it's a
cozy.
nice.
Yeah.
It does. Well, and see, we didn't even get to talk about your trip to Ireland yet, because
Oh, yeah.
definitely have to have you back just for the
Well,
Ireland
we'll
trip.
do
That
that
was
another
so
time, and
amazing.
we can talk about Ireland, and you can tell me what the questions are, the 10 questions.
Oh, yeah. See, here we are. Well, we're up to an hour and 45.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah.
But it's nice. We talked about education, all the wonderful
Absolutely.
things. Oh, here's a question I did want to ask you, because I know you're all over the place and leave comments and supportive. How on earth do you keep up with all those channels?
I don't. I mean, I keep subscribing every time MJ puts another video out with new people to check out. I check them out and I subscribe to them. And then I have, the people that I follow regularly,
Yeah.
and when I see them interacting with people, I tend to follow those people too. So that's how it has expanded to the ridiculous number that it has. But I know that I don't see everything that everybody does. I mean, no one could,
No.
but I just do the best I can. I mean, there are people that I watch all the time, like their stuff always comes up, and
Yeah.
they're always in my feed. But I try to make a point. Like I'll just look at my list of people I'm subscribed to, and I'll say, oh, I haven't seen so and so recently, and I'll make a point of going and visiting, and seeing. So, but I just try to pop in,
Yeah.
but you can't possibly keep up. You can't keep up with everybody, but I mean,
Well,
there are people who comment on every one of my videos, and I hey Ben,
hey,
um,
Van.
I always, the people who always comment for me, I try to always comment for them. And but I've just met a lot of people through people, as we all do,
Mm-hmm.
and then but I don't keep up at all. I mean, I just keep working at it. I just keep working at it. So,
Well, and I think I try and do the same, and I watch Jack as well spread book joy, and
oh yeah,
I really take some of the stuff because it's true. You can't keep up.
no,
What I've been doing and just started this week actually, because I'd taken a few days away from tech just because I needed to. And what I've started doing now is hitting as videos come up, putting them on my watch later list.
hmm,
Because typically I only watch in the evening. The odd time I'm on in the daytime or like when I have my live on Thursday, but typically I'm not on during the day. And then all of a sudden my feed is huge and I'm like, "Ugh." So the same, it's people who I know are following me or leave comments, or like I say, I look down the thumbnail. Ooh, there's a book I want to hear about.
right.
Sometimes it's even something I won't typically read, and it's like, oh,
Oh,
okay, yeah, I'm
definitely.
glad I.
Definitely. I watch a lot of videos on stuff that I don't read. I probably will never read, but
Mm,
you get to just like personalities, or you like
yep,
how somebody presents a book. I have a lot of those. I mean, I have several people that I follow, and that follow me. And I know our tastes are very, very different, but we
yep.
just like each other, so that's the beauty
Well,
of this, I think.
and the other is, and I've said to Kat, because there was one video she did, and Ven makes me laugh because one of his commentaries, and we currently have this thing about Akatar going on. But what I have said to them a few times is, thanks for this. I don't have to read that book now because I've got the nice condensed version,
Yeah,
right? So
the
then I can
Cliff's
move
notes, the
on.
Monarch notes, yeah, yeah, the Spark notes, yeah,
And see, here we called them coal notes or
same
cliff
idea.
notes,
We
which I
had
don't
Cliffs
think.
and Monarch, and now the thing is Spark notes. That's the thing people are
Ah,
reading now. So it's
there,
all the
yeah,
same.
the condensed version. And it's funny because I think of, all these people who, oh, I'll watch the movie instead of reading the book for classes.
Yeah, yeah.
And yet it's funny because the movies are in some cases so different for
Oh,
so
right.
many
Absolutely.
reasons,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It's like you still couldn't. And yes, we have to say congratulations to Ven. He got the promotion.
Yay, yay, yay.
It's official. Oh, see? We could have had cake.
Yes, cake. Now I have to come back, Elaine. We have to come
You
back.
do.
We have to have cake. We have to do Ireland. We have to celebrate the promotion. Let's see what else.
Exactly.
Oh,
Good at keeping up, leaving comments, and I agree. And that's why I asked, is like, I know I can't, more money for books. My fellow bookaholic.
yeah, for sure.
And so, see, and then tomorrow my thrift store is 50% off, and I can shop
online. Funny.
Kat wants to know which one of us has purchased more books, Ven or I. And, you know, Ven can't buy books right now. He's doing the read what you own challenge.
Oh, my goodness. Are
you doing that?
No.
Yeah. I knew it would be a bust, and I did say if my thrift store had a 50% off sale, that challenge
would be the end of that. Out the window.
I need to support my community.
I believe in the cause. I think and I admire these people who can do it. I know I can't do it. I mean, I would have to set such a small goal just to prove I could do that. And, and my justification is that I don't spend, I mean, I did go to Ireland and that was a big deal, but that was a once in a lifetime thing. I don't spend a lot of money. It was huge, but it was like a lifetime in the planning, but
exactly.
I don't spend a lot of money on myself. I buy books and I buy things for other people, so it would take such a pleasure out of my life. And I'm not about denying myself, that's a harmless pleasure, I think. I don't have a lot of, vices that I engage in. If I spend too much on books, so be it.
And that's it. And for me, it's the same. Like, it's a great cause. Kudos to those who get involved. But for me, the bookshop, like I said, that's kind of my social outing. I don't get out many places. And it's like,
it's important. So. And I donate huge numbers. Like I said, I tried to see if I could sell a few. Mostly I donate. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. Every time I go to the library, I bring bags filled with books that I give to them that they can sell. So, and I donate to little free libraries too. So I have I'm not into feeling guilty about buying books. I also give a ton away. So
it goes around now. See, through my life, I've given a ton away, but I just did my unhauled rebuy video. Now that wasn't one major shop. That was over a year and some, but I've repurchased, now probably 37 books. I'm like, okay, wow. I'm not unhauling anymore because I thought I was done with them. Of course, I also never thought I would have a booktube channel.
Right. Exactly.
And, since I annotate and everything, partly because of the Da Vinci Spiral, what have you. And I won't give away a book I've written in.
Okay.
So I have a few that are going. This will make Kat laugh. The Discovery of Witches will be going. She hates that book.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it definitely wasn't one of my favorites. We'll see what happens with ACOTAR, because this is how shallow I am. I'm just reading it because Ven hates it.
Well, that's perfect,
And
I read volume 1. I did read ACOTAR, and I read part 1 of volume 2, which we're doing this month, and it's not going to happen for me.
Not as good.
It's not even that it's not as good. I don't like the series. I completely defend her right to exist and those books to be available, but it's a lot of time. I see Mark saying he's struggling with book 2. I'm really struggling with it, and too many things I want to read and that I love that I need to be reading. So
Yep.
I don't like to stop in the middle of something, but I'm just, life is too short, you know. I defend her right to exist. I want her books to be available, but I
Yep.
don't think I have it in me to read this series. So
And yeah.
Ben's comment, I would like it more if Pharaoh wasn't such an idiot. Yeah, I just wrote that in a discussion group somewhere. Not that she was an idiot. I said, I just don't like this main character. And the book
Yeah.
is 650 pages long or something like that. I'm like,
I
I
just
anyway.
can't buy but shelf ornaments. Yes, Ven is definitely a cover by guy. Physically shuttered. Number of yeah.
Aw.
Jenny's got somewhere in the
Oh my
thousands
goodness.
shelf ornaments.
Oh, funny.
Don't speak a Kindle. Yeah, all three of them
Hi.
are huge Kindle people.
Wow.
Oh, come on, Ven. You've
Not as
got to
bad
be.
as cats.
Yeah,
Um,
those 99p ones. I know how much you've talked about it.
It is. It
Okay.
is really hard to resist some of those things.
Yeah.
So,
Well, especially when if it's a free. Yep. Another. Yeah. I knew that was sparkly vampires tolerable.
vomiting.
That
Oh,
makes it bad. I've read the first one, and when I looked at my library for the second book of Discovery of Witches, the comments were not good. And they said, just skip to the third book. The second one's just useless. I'm like, yeah, no, I've got other books. Feyre, have you beaten me? Gareth had the audacity to call me out for an all my open series in his recent video.
Gareth just came in. You conjured
Gareth
him.
just came
Hello.
in. Hey, Gareth.
There he is. That's great.
Don't know about open series. Need to finish list of how many I started and not gotten to finish. I have a ton of those. Okay, 350 isn't
Well,
bad.
that's not
Read
bad.
about a quarter.
Okay. Wow.
Just found this maybe because Jenny said my
That's
name.
right. That's right. We conjured you, Gareth.
That's right. Gareth, you need to watch Tiki playing with markers while I'm watching your video.
Oh, oh.
She's waiting for a comment, man.
We summoned you,
Summoned
Gareth.
Gareth.
Exactly. We did.
Mist and Fury is painful. Now, is that the.
That's the second one in Akatar. It's
Okay.
like ammo. It's a court of mist and fury. That's part 2. That's the one that's 650 pages long.
Oh, golly.
Ay, ay, ay.
700 unread on Kindle. That's almost my whole library, Kat.
Wow.
Physical. None that I paid for.
Okay, none that she paid for. Okay.
That's
Only
only
700. Damn.
700.
That's funny.
Yeah, I think it might have been when we were on Ven's chat. And I think Jenny counted up how many, and Ven was looking at how many he had, and it was an insane number. That's why for me, physical's good because I'm a mood reader and I literally go through my shelves. Do I
Yeah.
feel? But I also have a ton I haven't finished. The bookmarks are in different
Oh,
places.
wow. Oh, okay.
Now, do you start and finish a book, Pat, or do
I
you
do.
have
I tend
several?
to start and finish, but I'm usually I'm usually reading 3 things at a time, but I will start and finish. Usually. It's unusual for me to not finish and put it back on the shelf. It's unusual for me to not finish, which is why I'm struggling over this part 2 of Akatar or whatever it's
Yeah.
called, because I don't like to not finish, but I think I'm not going to finish.
See, I've actually DNF'd 2 books this year for the first time in
Yeah.
I can't remember when, but also for the reason that you said, I have so many books I want to get to.
Yeah.
And I just know I'm not going to enjoy these 2 books. They don't speak to me. They weren't written for me. And again, that's why I love BookTube because I can test, even if I can't test run it through my library, I can test run it through somebody's video and what they're talking about. And based on their descriptions, helps me decide as well.
Right.
I want to know how many you have. 33,959 unread. Oh, look, Pat's face is like the
It's
emoji.
like the emoji.
Okay,
Jenny.
maybe I'm not the bookaholic after all. Jenny, we need to do a 12-step
Oh my
program, honey.
God.
That's wild.
Oh my God.
That's why I only download freebies. If it's not on my shelf, might get lost. And see, that would be me with the e-type books as well. If I don't see them, and this is why I'm bad with Libby. If I don't open Libby, I forget I have a book there
Oh
waiting
yeah.
for me to hear.
Right.
Whereas if I look around my shelves and I see the bookmark, whatever, it's like, oh yeah,
Oh yeah, I'd
I
have that to read. Right. Right.
that's right. I need to be how'd you get that many? That's a ton.
Oh
That's a ton of storage. Oh no, I guess it's saved in, what do they call it? The cloud or something?
yeah. Yeah.
I can't remember. But well, we're up to 2 hours.
Well, this has been a delight. This was really quite a pleasure. And thank you for having me on. Thank you, everybody in the chat. It was a lot of
I've
fun.
enjoyed it. We definitely need to plan in the new year.
Yes.
And I was debating, but I think I'm going to stick with my Thursdays because every once in a while, Noah and I keep overlapping, which I feel bad.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'm going to switch between a 3 o'clock and a 7 o'clock Thursday because the viewers are used to Thursday.
Right.
And I'll just have to make sure that I'm not bumping Dave and Gareth. But we'll have cake. Gareth, if you're still here, tell Dave we're having
We're
cake.
having cake. Very good. Very good.
But this was lovely. I enjoyed all the different
Yes.
conversations
Yes.
and
Me too.
sharing we had.
Me too. Thank
Someday
you
we
so much.
may get to the questions.
Next time. Next time.
Next time. Now, okay, Jenny, I prefer just want to fit if we
Sure.
like, go by. Yeah, see, I know some people have the audio and the physical and have a problem by a whole series, whether I like it. Yeah, see, Jenny doesn't DNF so many. So, yeah, she has a ton. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, Pat. I
Thank you,
appreciate the
Elaine.
time. We're
Me
going to
too.
do the wave and see when this clicks off. Take
Thanks.
care.